You just learned Python? Great! Now here are 5 fun and simple projects you can build today, even if you're a complete beginner. In this project tutorial, we will be learning number guessing game, simple calculator, password generator, age calculator, and to-do list in console. This project will be fun and easy. Alright, let's start this number guessing game step by step. You can code with me if you like, and if I'm too fast, please pause the video so you can catch up. Like I said in the beginning, it's very easy to understand. One of the first things we are going to do is to use the import, and what we are going to import is the random. In Python, random is used to randomly generate any number, and it's gotten from the Python library. And we use imports to get things from the Python library. Now, what we are going to do is to assign this random to a variable. Variables are things that hold values. So I'm going to call this variable number, and I'm going to assign number to be a random.randint. Now, randint means what I'm looking for is actually numbers. So I'll need to give it a range. If I don't give a range to this random, it's going to give me too many numbers. But for now, I want this random to give me numbers from 1 to 10, which means it's only going to randomly generate numbers from 1 to 10. For example, if I should print number, you would see it will generate different numbers for me. Now let's run this. You see, the first number it generates is 6. As you can see on the output. Now let's run it again. You can see it has generated another number, which is 3. Now that's good. So now that we've achieved that, the next thing we want to do is to create a variable where users can guess their values or put in their guessed values. And the way we can do that is to use inputs. So you can do inputs like this, and then let's fix in something to ask the user. Let's say, guess the number. Now that we've asked the user to guess the number, the user can give us any random value. But in order for us to make it precise to get a number other than just getting any value, we need to assign the whole input to an int. So all we need to do is just to type the int. Int simply means integer. So whatever the user is going to put in this particular space is going to be an integer or a number. So if the user should put in a number like or a string like ONE1, is going to generate an error. Now, for us to be able to generate this particular number that the user is going to pass in, we need to save it in a variable. Let's call that variable guess. As you can see, let's say guess is going to be equals to int and then inputs and so forth. So we can get what we need from the user. Now, the next thing we are going to do is to check if the guess matches the number that is being randomly generated. And how we are going to do that is by using the if statement. In our last video, we talked about conditional statements where we have the if, else if, the for loop, while loop, and so on and so forth. But in this particular tutorial, we'll be using the if statements. Now we use the if to check if guess is equals to the number. If you notice in this particular line of code, we are using the double equals code. The reason for using the double equals sign is because in Python, a single equals sign is an assignment operator, but a double equals sign is a conditional operator to check if something matches or if they are equal. And this double equals sign applies to so many languages. Now let's check this. If guess is equals to number, then we want it to print something on the console. And what we want it to print is, let's say something like, congratulations, your guess was correct. But now, we would like to know what was the number that this particular client guessed. So in order for us to make this appear on the console, we need to use a special syntax called the F syntax. And how we achieve that is like you can see, we create a double curly bracelet, and in that double curly bracelet, we pass in the guess. Now, if we type it like this without putting the F string, it's going to print it out straight out. Now that we've passed the F, you can see a difference in the code. Now, if guess is 3, it will show 3 on the console. If guess is 4, it will show 4 on the console. Now, what if the user guessed the number wrong? We have to use an else statement in this case. So what we're going to do, we are going to use print, and we'll say print. We'll now put in the F syntax, and then we'll type something like sorry, your if I could type, your guess was wrong. The correct answer or the correct number is, then we pass in the number into the curly bracelets to get the value of the random generated number. And that's it. You've just created your first Python guessing game using simple codes. Now let's run it. When you run it, it prompts us to guess the number. And let me guess the number 2. I guess 2. Now when I type 2, as you can see, wow. It says congratulations, your guess was correct on my first try. Maybe I should do more of guessing games. Alright, let's run it again and guess a different number. Then when you run it and guess the number, let's guess the number 3. And you can see, sorry, your guess was wrong. The correct number is 5. As simple as that. So that is how to build a simple guessing game in Python. Now, supposing we want to make this very interesting, we can create a while loop to continue to run this program until the user says they are no longer interested in the game. So let's give a variable called exit game, and let's give it a value of no. Now, the reason why we are giving this a value of no is so that when it becomes yes, the game is going to stop. Then below that, let's type a while loop. Let's type while exit game is not equals yes, or is not equals double quotes, we'll pass the yes in the string, yes, with a semicolon. Everything under this while loop should run as long as exit game is not equals yes. But let's adjust the code. You can highlight everything like I did and then press a tab to achieve that. So everything under this while loop is going to continue to run until the exit game becomes true. When exit game becomes true, it stops. So now what we're going to do is we're going to write const, and const is going to be equals to an input. Now this input, we want to get a value from the user, whether it's a yes, they want to continue, or a no. So let's ask, do you want to continue? And then in a bracket, let's put yes or no. Yes or no. Good. Now this asks the user if they want to continue. Now after getting this answer, we need to put a condition to test if the user has agreed. So let's say if continue is equals, remember the double equals sign. If it equals no, it means this person does no longer wants to continue. Then let exit game change its variable to become yes. So that is just what we want to do. We want to check, sorry about that, we want to change the condition of that while loop up there, and we're using a condition to know if the input is no. Let exit game now have the value, let it be equals to yes. So what this is trying to do is trying to say that when the user says I am no longer interested, change that exit game variable to become yes. And then once the exit game variable becomes yes, the while loop becomes true, and everything under this condition will no longer run as far as the while loop's condition has changed to true, which means it's no longer a false, it's no longer no, it's now yes. So everything here should stop. I hope you understand what I'm trying to portray with this, with the exit game there. So that's about that. Next thing we'll do is I think everything here is good. Everything here should work. If count is equals to no, then exit game should be equals yes. Fantastic. Okay, now before we run it, let's print a message to tell the user, a simple message to tell the user, thank you for playing. Okay, and then let's give it a line, space down. So we do it with the /n to make it space down from the other codes. Let's put dot to make it attractive. Let's also do the /n for the guest number so that it can, give it a little space. Now let's run the code and see what happens. Now I guess the number. It says guess the number. I guess number 4. It says congratulations again. Wow, this is beautiful. Again, for the second time in a row, I got the number correct. Maybe it's because it's just a random 1 to 10. But then, you see, it now asks, do you want to continue? If I say yes, of course, it's going to ask me again, guess the number. And this time, let's guess 2. It says, sorry, your guess was wrong. The correct number is 4. Do you want to continue? If I press no, it's supposed to tell me, I think I made a mistake. Sorry about that. Instead of pressing the correct no, I went to press the N and the 0. So we're going to try and run this again. Okay, let's try the number 2 again. Let's guess the number. I chose the number 2 and run it. Okay, now it says, sorry, your guess was wrong. The number is 10. Do you want to continue? I say no. And now you see it has printed, thank you for playing, which is what we wanted. So this is how you can actually run a simple Python guessing game. Okay, if we run that again, it says guess the number. I guess the number 3. Let's type 3 there. And it says, sorry, your guess was wrong. The correct number is 1. Do you want to continue? I said yes. And run it again. And this time, let's choose the number 4. And it says, sorry, your guess was wrong. The correct number is 3, which is the previous. Do you want to continue? Yes or no? Let's type no. And now you see it says, thank you for playing. So with this, we've been able to achieve a simple Python number guessing game. See you on the next one. Welcome back. In this tutorial, we'll be talking about the simple calculator. As you remember in our previous video, we spoke about some key important things like how to get a value from a user through the input function. And if we strictly need a number, we use the int function in Python, which is for integer, to request the number from that user. Now, we're going to test our calculator with different mathematical operators like the addition, multiplication, division, and so forth, and even try to use float in this tutorial. Let's start with the variable a and say a is equals to 2, and then b, which is the second variable, is equals to 3 because we need two variables to calculate. Now let's print a plus b. If we run this, we should get 5 as our answer. As you can see, we've gotten 5. Now let's change the sign, the addition sign, to multiply. We should get 6. And when you run it, as you can see, we have the answer 6. Now, having known that we can get addition and subtractions through the first and the second, what we need to do is know how to get the first number from the user and the second number from the user. And if you remember our previous video, we spoke about the use of inputs and int to strictly request for numbers. So let's say number 1 is equals to int, because we want to strictly request for a number, then input, and now let's type, please enter your first number. Good. Now, having requested for the user's first number, we need another number to be able to do our simple calculator or simple calculation. Now let's duplicate this line of code. It's quite easy. Just hold the Shift, Alt, and Down key, and you'll be able to duplicate. Now let's change the second variable to number 2, and also change the first number there to become second number. Good. Now let's get the values with the use of the f string. Remember f string in our previous video. So let's use the f string, curly braces. Then let's pass number 1. We're going to use the additional sign for now, which is the first thing we'll test, plus number 2. Now let's run this code and see what we get. So when you run this code, it is going to prompt you to put in your first number. And let's write the number 2, enter. Ask us for a second number. Let's put the number 5. Now when we run this, we should get 7. As you can see here, we got the answer 7, which is the number 1 plus number 2. Now let's adjust this to, let's put the answer here so that it will be more clear. Very good. Sorry about that. Now when we run this, before we run that, let's change the sign, please. Let's change it to a minus sign, a subtraction sign. So let's do the same thing. Let's say 2 with the second number 5. So 2 minus 5 should give us minus 3. As you can see, the answer is minus 3. So Python is smart enough to be able to do mathematical works for you. So if we keep changing the signs, we keep getting different answers. Let's change it to divide. And let's also run it again. Let's divide 3. Let's divide 3 by 8. And as you can see, we got a decimal number, 0.375 as the decimal number. Now, if we change this to multiply, let's change that to multiply, but this time we're going to try a float and you see what happens. As soon as we run that, we get an error. Now, the reason why we are getting an error is because in the beginning, we were saying that we only needed int, which is an integer. Integers are just strict numbers. It doesn't have to do anything, has anything to do with decimals. They are just whole numbers, all right? Int cannot contain a decimal number. But in order to do that, we have to change that to float. So we change the int to float. And because we've added float to this number, we can now use the 28 or the decimal number. So let's try a different decimal number. So we're still going to use the multiply sign. 23. And then let's try that with 2. And then we get 46.0 because now we're using a float. Okay, so you can see a whole number worked fine when using a float. But now let's use a float as well. 23.678, and then we want to multiply it by 5.1. You can see we're going to, sorry, I clicked the wrong instead of enter. So let's try that again. Let's do 34.6 and enter the second number as 23.1. And when we run this, you can see we get 799.26000001. Okay, and that is because floats can handle both whole numbers and also decimal numbers, but it would only give you it will only give you the a decimal point at the back. Now we've changed this to int. I just wanted to show something. We just changed it to int. Now we try to 20.2 because we've passed in the int. We want to try running that again, and then I always click the run instead of the enter. 23.5, and then we enter that. You see we get an error, and the reason why we are getting the error is because int cannot work for floating numbers. So if we must use a float, we have to change that int to become a float. And that's it for this simple calculator tutorial. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Welcome back once again. In this tutorial, we will be talking about the password generator. Now, if you remember in our previous tutorial, we spoke about how import is used to get things from the library. In this tutorial, where we want to build the password generator, we will be using two things from the library. First is the random, and second is the string. Now, the reason why we need the random and the string is so that we can randomly generate letters, and also want those letters to contain both uppercase and lowercase. That is why we are importing the strings. And then we are going to use a function called join to join those things together to whatever the user passing as their value. And then we mix all those things together to present a password. So let's start by importing random. So let's import random, and let's also import string. Now that we've imported these two things, the first thing we want to ask is the user's input. So let's ask the user to input their value and pass that into something called name, or let's call it password. And let's say password is equals to the input, and where we ask the user to please enter your password, or just enter your, like a type, enter your password. Now the user has entered his or her password. We want to now mix whatever the user has entered with different characters so that it would make it look confusing for someone to steal. Now when that character is generated, one can save that in a database or a backend as a form of password for that user. So we'll start by saying we'll call it another variable. Let's say new password. Let's just call it that, new password. We're using a camel case in this particular variable. New password is equals to, we call the password that was entered by the user, and then we use the function join to concatenate or to add a lot of things together. And now join, now that we want to join, the first thing we want to do is we want to call in the random, and we want random.choices. Random.choices means it should bring different things. It should bring things randomly, okay? And the choices wanted to bring is the string. Now this string you see here is the same one we have at the top here. So we are passing this string here in this particular part, and we're passing this random from this particular part. So the random we imported is what we have here, and the string we imported here is what we have here. Okay, so now we wanted to import the string, And we want this string to be an ASCII underscore letters. Now what this ASCII underscore letters is going to do is that it's going to bring random uppercase and lowercase letters. That is what the ASCII is doing. Now we want to add that to another string, but this time the string should be made of digits. Okay, so we are collecting random letters, uppercase, lowercase, and we're also generating digits. So string.digits is going to give us numbers from 0 to 9. So it's going to randomly also select numbers from 0 to 9. That is why we're having this random.choice. Random.choice is randomly going to pick letters, uppercase and lowercase, and it's also going to add that letters it has picked to digits 0 to 9, and it's going to mix them together. Now the other value that the random.choice is going to take is also the number of times we want it to appear. So we want the key to appear 8 times. You can increase this number depending on how strong you want the password to be. Now that is the new password. Now let's print. Let's use the F string and print your password is, then we pass in the new password. So this is going to generate the new password. So the most important thing is we are getting the password from the user, and then we are adding that password, we are joining it to random choices. So it's going to randomly generate uppercase, lowercase, and numbers, and it's going to add it and mix it with this password that has been given, and it's going to print that password to the console. Now let's run this and see what we get. So when we run that, it's going to ask us to type our password. Now supposing we type something like Adele example, and then we do 23 something like that as a password, and then we enter that. You can see it says your password is, it has randomly generated things like Adele and all of that. So it will be difficult for someone to steal your password. Now imagine somebody saves this as password and this has been entered into a database. It will be difficult for a random person to steal the password of that user. Now that is how passwords are being saved in database, and that is how why it is difficult for random person to actually guess the password and steal it, is because of things like the password generator. So these are simple password generator. You can expand this this particular code to whatever length you need to. Feel free to use this knowledge and improve as time goes on. That would be all for the password build tutorial, or for the password generating tutorial. Thank you very much and see you on the next one. Welcome back to the last tutorial of this video. In this video, we'll be doing both the age calculator and the to-do list in console. Please remember to take a little rest while coding. It helps refresh the mind. Going into this video, we want to first do the age calculator, which is quite easy. And for you to get the age of a person, you need the person to enter their year of birth. And a year is an integer because it's a whole number. Nobody is born in a float number. Nobody was born in the year 1992.5, 1981.3, or 2025.5. We're all born in an integer year, which is a whole number. Therefore, the best thing to use is an integer in this case. And then we subtract the year the person was born from the current year, which is 2025. Feel free to do this in whatever year you're watching this video. Now we start with the variable age, and we say age is equals to int because we want to get the whole number the person was born, or the year the person was born. And then we pass in the inputs and ask the person to enter their year of birth. Enter your year of birth. Now that the person has entered Now that we've gotten the year of birth from the user, we want to print. Remember to use the F string because we would like to do some little mathematical calculations in the string. So we'll say your age is, so your age is, if I could type, and then let's subtract the age from the year 2025 minus the age. Feel free to do that in whatever year you're watching this video. And this simple 2 lines of code will calculate the age of a user. Let's run it and see. Now, if I should say the person was born in the year 2021 and run that, you see it says your age is 4. All right. Now, if we decide to say the person was born in the year 1982, let's just add a little bit of that there and run that again, just to make it more explanatory. Let's say the person was born in the year 1802, and we run that. You can see it says your age is 223 years. I don't think anybody has lived that long. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comment section, but yeah, life is very short. But you need to understand that this 2 lines of code gives you the calculation of an age. So feel free to expand this to whatever you need to expand it to. You can use it to build apps like an age checking app for your project. So it's as simple as that. Now, having done that, let us do the to-do list, which is one of the last thing we want to talk about in this tutorial. Now, for the to-do list, we need to create an empty list. And how we can create an empty list, let's call this first of all tasks, and we'll say it's equals to an empty list. Now, this is how you create an empty list, by just using 2 empty square brackets. You create an empty list. Now that we've created an empty list, we want to get something from the user to put into that list. So we do that by giving that a variable name. Let's now call that one task. And we'll say task is equals to the input because we want to get it from the user. And then we'll say, what will you do today? So I want to get what the person will do today. And when we get that, we want to pass this thing that has been, this value that we received from the user into that list called task. And it's quite simple to do that. All you just need to do is to press the tasks.append. The .append in Python means you should add something to that list. And now I want to add task, which means whatever the person enters, I want to add it into the list. And now let's print task. And this task we are printing is this list. We're printing this list here, okay, so we can get the value. Now this is quite simple, and this is how you create a list or a to-do list. Now let's run this. When we run this, it will ask you what would you like to do today. Let's say code with me. Code with me. If we enter that, you can see that's passed the code with me into the list. Now you can add more to this list, but unfortunately we can't do that because we're using programaze.com. So if I try to run this again and let's say play football, instead of it to add to that list, it will reload the list and give me a fresh one. Okay, so for us to be able to achieve adding multiple things to this list, we need to make some tweaks to our code. And one of the things we can use is the while loop, which means we're going to create a while loop to make this code to make the user continue to add until the user decides to exit. So let's call this variable exit task should be equals to no. And then we'll say while exit task is not equals yes, please run the code below. So that's just what we're trying to do. We're trying to say that while exit task is not equals yes, run this task below. So it would ask the user to enter and then it will append it. Now, when it does append it, we need to ask a question that will determine whether the user wants to continue or not. Else, this while loop is going to keep running until your system runs out of memory. So the way to do that, let's call this variable continue. Let's say continue. We can't use that word because it's a special word in Python, but let's just call it continue. Let's write it like that. It's going to be equals to the inputs where we ask the question from the user. Do you want to continue? And let's allow the user to put in two answers, which is yes or no. So now we've asked the user if they want to continue, yes or no, and then we want to place a condition to say if continue is equals. Remember, you need to use the double equal sign to compare. Single equal sign is an assignment operator. Double equal sign is a comparison operator to compare things. So we want to check if contain is equals. Continue is equals to no. Sorry. If continue is equals to no, then we want to change our exit task to be equals yes. Now what we've done is that we've said, okay, if this variable changes, if this person says he no longer wants to continue adding things to the list, then change this value, this no value, to become yes. And once no value becomes yes, this while loop statement becomes false. Right now, it is true because exit tax is not equal to yes, so it's going to keep running. But once exit tax becomes yes, it means this value is no longer true, and then our code stops running. So what we want it to do is to keep running, and when it becomes yes, then we want the tax to the print to print out the list of tasks. Sorry about that. So let's run our code and see how it looks. So it says, what would you like to do today? I say code with me, and it asks, do you want to continue? And I say yes. It has added code with me to the list. It says, what would you like to do today? I say play football, and it says, do you want to continue? I said yes. You see, it has added code with me, and it has also added play football. And it has also asked another question, what would you like to do today? I said sleep, and it says, do you want to continue? If I say no and I click that enter, you can see it prints the code with me, play football and sleep. It has appended all of this into the task. Now there are different ways you can modify this list. You can use a for loop to make the list appear one after the other. Instead of appearing in the square bracket like this, you can use a for loop in your Python like we did in the beginning of the video. You can go back to the first video that we made in our previous video, not this very one, the first previous video we made, and watch about the for loop, and you'll be able to know how to apply that task. So that is that about the to-do list in console, and also the age calculator. So thank you very much for watching this video. It's been fun coding with you. Please let me know in the comment section other games, other tutorials, and other things you're interested in to learn in Python, so that I can show forth those things and make it easier for you to understand. And if you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section. I am always ready to reply your comments. Thank you very much, and God bless you.